Konnichiwa minasan, Marina desu. How y'all doing? Welcome to the 8th episode of Frill Talk. So today I have such a lovely, I'm so excited to speak with them today. I have Callista from Magical Girl Me. Hi, Callista.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Pretty great. How are
It's so
you?
nice to meet you. It's so great to meet you finally.
I know because we chat, but it's not the
Yeah,
same as seeing you.
yeah. I mean, we're still like not in person, but hopefully we can meet like sometime soon, maybe at a con or something.
Yes.
So today we're gonna speak with Callista about their experiences in Lolita fashion. Um, so Callista is a fellow business owner of the brand Magical Girl Me. She sells a lot of cute accessories. And so Callista, please, I really want to know like what started Magical Girl Me, your brand.
Well, it was definitely it wasn't intentional actually. So what happened was I was finally out of school and I was able to like really get into Lolita fashion. And I was like, I'll just start a blog and that way I can connect with other people and I can track my journey in this fashion. And then because I was wearing it more often, I was making accessories for myself because I really love to craft. It's like my relaxing thing to do. So I would make accessories that I would wear, and then my friends would want them. So I make them for them, and then their friends would want them. And so I was like, well, I might as well make like a little Etsy shop or something. So when I want to like relax and make cute things, I can, but then I don't have to like keep them. I can like they can leave and I can package them and they'll go to another home. So that's kind of how that came about. It was literally just I like to make things and then people like them and they want to have a little bit of cuteness and it makes me really excited whenever I get to send a package and be like, here's a little bit of cute.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So you've been wearing Lolita Jfashion for about 10 years. Would you say Jfashion was kind of a reason why you started Magical Girl Me? Or
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. It's J fashion is so expressive and interesting and creative. And I feel like it's a really inspirational thing. So I'm constantly like writing down ideas of cute accessories to make for dresses that I don't even have, but I'm like, that's just a cute idea. I want to make it for someone that has a dress or a dress that would match that. So I have like notebooks full of cute designs that would like fit Fairy K or Maho K or Lolita fashion or Decora. And I just, it's so inspirational. I love looking at the old like street snaps of coordinates in Harajuku and like taking inspiration from those. So I think I would have been crafty without J fashion, but I'm so much happier crafting for J fashion.
oh wow. Awesome. So what made you or how did you first get introduced to Lolita Jfashion?
So I have probably the typical veteran Lolita story of looking at cosplay online and stumbling across something that looked similar to what I've seen in Clamp. So I really love Magical Girls and really loved Cardcaptor Sakura and Chobits. And there was something that looked similar, like something they would wear, but I didn't know what it was. And then I went to the now like discontinued Walden Books and they had like Lolita Bibles. And I was like, oh, I recognize this. I know what this is. And it finally like clicked that, oh my gosh, people wear this every day as clothes. Holy crap. And then it was like sealed. Like I knew exactly what I wanted to do and get into. So I kept what I could afford at the time, which was like the Gothic Lolita Bibles and like really small, like cute things. And I was like, someday I'm going to be able to wear this fashion. And it really, once I finished school and, had like a full-time job, then I could really dive into it. And I never looked back. And I'm always learning something new, but it is fun to go back to those same books that I fell in love with and like look through them and have the memories.
Aw, that's so nice. So, would you say that you have a favorite Lolita era since it's been a while since you've been wearing Lolita?
Yes. So I'm torn between two Lolita eras, which is really funny because they're so opposite. So on the one hand, I love like the old, well, now it's old school Lolita, but the old school Lolita with like the headdresses and like the white lace and the A line and the heart aprons and all that stuff and the plaid. So funny. I was like, I've been into it so long when they first started introducing prints. I was like, what is this? I don't understand this print thing. And like, I couldn't really get into plaid when I first started. And now I'm like obsessed with prints and plaids. So I love that. And then on the flip side, I love like the like 2010 over the top sweet Lolita. So split wigs, the
Right.
mismatch, like tea party shoes, like tons and tons of accessories and like identical twinning and like all of that stuff. I love both of those eras, but they're very, very different.
That seems to be the general consensus, especially among older leaders. They're like, "What are prints? What are these?" But then later on, they're like, "Oh yeah, OGT sweet favorite era."
Yep. Yep.
So, have you noticed anything that used to be a trend like 10 years ago in Lolita versus that's not a now, and vice versa, that's a trend now and not a trend back then?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just those things like, for example, now it's like totally okay to wear wigs. But back when I was interested in Lolita, you could only use your natural hair. And I like wigs because I have very short natural hair. And I mean, it's cute, it's a frolet, but if I want like huge accessories and stuff, I can't put that on my cute little fro. So wigs being like totally not an issue and it's totally fine. Like that's so different from when I first started getting into Lolita. Also, I think back then everyone was like wanted to do this is totally separate from a costume thing. And those like divisions were really obvious. But now we get to have fun with like overskirts and underskirts and props and all this like really fun creative things that back in the day would have just not been okay. But on the flip side, there's like, like really, especially for sweet Lolita, like really modest petticoats are like not really a thing. And like the really big rectangular headbands, um, they're smaller now. It's just like funny seeing like certain things come back and then certain things that are just never, or at least not coming back anytime soon.
Wow. So, since we always are seeing now, thanks to social media, brands releasing things from weekly, monthly, so many brands, do you feel at some point it's just really hard to navigate that now compared to like 10 years ago?
Yes, I always feel like even if I'm not looking for pieces, I feel like I have to know what's coming out because it's like if you like it, you have to like there's so many steps now. It's like, okay, I know that AP's releasing this. I know I want this cut. I know when about it's going to post on the Japanese site and then the Paris site and then the American site. Like there's so much work that goes into it. And then they also kind of blend together. So I can't remember releases, the names of them anymore, unless they're classics, because they all combine into something. And I'm like, I don't know, that new print series by AP, Chocolate and the Bears, cute. Don't know what it's called, but it's really cute. Or like Metamorphose will have like not as long as baby titles, but they have a lot of French titles. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know French, but that's a cute print. So yeah, like I feel like there's a lot of work that we have to do to like actually remember when brands are releasing stuff when. I feel like I almost need like a scheduler that's like in Google that'll keep me on track.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like in some way too, it's also now it's more accessible and easier to sort of follow a lot of these brands. Like I know with like Chinese Lolita updates, there's always something like every hour almost. And it's like at some point, like
Yeah,
how do they even like navigate all that? It's just amazing sometimes.
I know. It's amazing. It's like they navigate, they know when things are going to release. They don't double post things. And I'm like, how you are
Yeah,
all
like
magical.
yeah. Oh man, they have a whole team, I bet. So at any
Yeah,
point,
seriously.
so at any point in, I guess, like your J fashion career life, did you ever think you would be doing it for as long as you are doing it or have been doing it for?
I knew I would get there eventually, because I just like when I saw Lolita, it just clicked and I was like, that's me. That's who I am. I assumed like I have a blog post that like mathematically figured out how long it would take me to get enough of a wardrobe that I could wear it every day. And it was totally off because at the time I wasn't putting as much like funds into Lolita, or it was kind of like competing with my other hobbies. And now it's mostly like Lolita. My other hobbies are like
But now
they're
your
suffering a little
dolls are
bit.
also wearing Lolita there, I see in the corner.
They are. Yes.
So they're partaking in the
So
hobby.
it's like they totally are, yeah. So it's like I still like buy stuff for ball jointed dolls. I still buy like magical girl
Mhm.
items, especially like Sailor Moon Proplica items. But most of my attention is looking at Lolita updates and things. So I'm gonna actually update that blog and be like, hey, I actually did this in less time than I thought. So that's a nice little accomplishment.
Oh wow, that's so awesome. So what other, I guess, aside from Lita, what are your other hobbies so the audience can know more about you?
Sure. So I love ball jointed dolls. So I have a bunch of them. This
So
is my
cute.
first. Her name is Hitomi. Um, that's
Amen.
also something that really relaxes me is like changing their clothes and like posing them and stuff. Um, I also like to craft, which kind of goes back to Jfashion. I enjoy playing video games. And I'm actually next year, I hope to get like an actual proper gaming laptop so I can have like all the Sims and all the expansion packs
Oh my
and
god.
be able to run it.
Wow. My
So I
sister,
love that.
oh my god, my sister, she loves playing Sims and IMVU, and Half-Life, Second Life, I don't remember. It's like she loves those
Oh,
simulating
yep.
games and it's so crazy. I'm like, wow, you have all three of these running in your background. But she also recently got like a gaming computer PC. So it's like, oh my
Yeah.
god,
Yeah.
that's so much work it must be doing, but you got one for it.
It's it's so fun. Yeah, like I'm literally buying the gaming computer for editing videos and playing The Sims.
That's so
Um,
funny.
but I also love like we recently got Switches, so I've been playing Animal Crossing. And my favorite game of all time is Kingdom Hearts, specifically Kingdom Hearts 2. It's my
Oh, okay.
favorite. So I'll like go back and like play those games too. So that's a hobby. Pretty much. And then like I really like anime and collecting like magical girl weaponry. I'm focusing on Sailor Moon first.
I
But
see.
I did just get the star locket that I've wanted since I was 12.
Oh,
So
you made 12-year-old you so happy.
I was like, I wish I could go back in time and be like, someday you're gonna own that star locket that your parents were like, we're not like bidding on this on eBay because it's like $50. You will have it, and you will get to dress like a princess whenever you want. So yeah, those are my hobbies. That's
Made
pretty
your dreams
much
come
what I
true.
do.
Oh man. So, since the pandemic unfortunately is still going on, um, and seems to be getting longer at the time of this recording, um, what are ways that if you have experiencing Lolita meetups, whether virtual, online, or I guess virtual in person if comfortable enough?
Yeah. So my community in Maine is really, really small. And I'd love to like be the organizer for those events, but I don't want to have like a day where I can't show up and then I'm the person organizing it, so I have to show up, sort of thing. So I haven't actually done a in-person meet since like last year
Wow.
or the year before last year. Because we usually all go to the same like local convention and then we meet up there. So I've actually been connecting with more Lolitas virtually. And so that's one benefit to the pandemic is I've been able to like have more like conversations with other Lolitas. And I feel like I'm building my own online community and like filling that void. So I'm super excited to be able to meet everyone in person that I've been talking to. But I do think that maybe necessarily wouldn't have happened if we hadn't had the pandemic.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely been some, obviously a lot of cons, but at least within the fashion, it's a lot of pros. We were seeing a lot of more virtual events, fashion talks. I believe this weekend, yeah, this weekend there's the Jfashion 101 Academy from Bay Area.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is really interesting. I'm like, oh wow, why haven't this happened at like a panel? Like at an anime convention.
exactly.
Like I feel like
Yeah. And
when we go back to conventions, maybe we'll have more Lolita programming since people have actually done more throughout the last year or so.
yeah, and I really like the creative ways people are adjusting to it too. Like, I participated in the online Lolita marketplace for a convention, and I'm doing that again this month. And I was like, that is such a cool and creative idea because, like, it's out there and there's all these great resources, but then you get to connect with people and still be able to showcase your brand a little bit too.
Right. So speaking of conventions, are there any you hoping to go this year? Or I guess the rest of 2021?
Well, now I'm like, I have to get to Vegas.
For context for the audience,
I'm
we
like,
were
gonna,
talking about Royal Vegas retreat in Vegas. Since I'll be attending, then I was mentioning to Callista that there'll be others there. So now she's hoping to go. So hopefully we'll see her there. And you too.
yeah, I'm like, yes, like I gotta make that happen. Other than that, it's pretty quiet the rest of the year. A lot of people haven't been doing conventions. We had one over the summer, but it was like a lot of people just didn't show up. So I'm kind of just I was waiting for next year, but like I'm honestly itching to get out of Maine and like experience things again and just kind of make things feel more normal
Hmm.
as soon as it's
Yeah.
safe to do so.
Yeah, well, hopefully the pandemic ends soon so we can all experience. I feel like a lot of people started Alita during the pandemic, so I hope they'll be able to experience like an actual con and like Lolita programming and all that jazz. And I hope we get back Japanese guests for all the conventions in the future.
Yes.
That's
I
definitely.
can't even imagine. Like, I remember how special it was for me to see Lolita in person as a newbie. So I can't imagine like having like multiple cords from the pandemic and then being like, then I saw my first other Lolita like 2 years later.
Oh man. So, since you are a owner of a Jfashion lolita-centered brand, is there anything that you wish people were more aware of as a indie American brand?
I think, honestly, and I might start sharing more of this on social media, but
Mhm.
if you like an indie brand, honestly, and you like have something in your cart and you want to just like get it eventually, like get the thing because not only are you like getting a cute accessory or something that you want, but you're supporting the business. And where this is just, eventually I would love to be able to do this full time. It's just me when I'm off the clock from work making these designs. And every order brings me closer to that reality. So, I promise it's not a lack of like creative ideas. It's literally just the money behind that, because I eventually want to be making like enamel pins and apparel and bags, and all of that takes time, but it also takes support. So even if people, you're like, oh, I can't get anything right now, or there isn't something I'm particularly in love with, like just spreading the word is huge. So I have been actively trying to, like, when I get things from artists, like show that and like tag them so they can get more exposure, because eventually it's going to lead to bigger and better things for us as consumers, because then we get more to pick from.
Yeah, exactly. Especially since nowadays we have the internet and have more accessibility to Lolita and Jfashion, whereas 10 years ago that was definitely more limited.
Yes. Yeah, it absolutely was. It's definitely more accessible. I can't believe how much you can get on just like really simple sites. Like if you just go to Etsy, there's so much to choose from. Um, it's great. And I feel like the more we have, the better, because that just gives you more variety. And it's so different from back in the day where you had really complicated ways you had to order things and buy things off of LiveJournal. It was just a mess.
So with that in mind, since what are your thoughts of brands nowadays becoming more size inclusive and more accessible?
I love it so much. So I know there are certain plus size Lolitas in the community that are very angry at particular brands because they're not being size inclusive. But as a business owner, I'm not going to tell someone how to run their business. What I'm going to do is I'm going to support the brands that are making those changes. So independent brands that do custom sizing or multiple sizes, name brands like Metamorphose. I have been giving so much to Meta lately because they're just dropping these amazing designs that are like perfect. I'm like, this is great, because like someone who happens to be smaller versus someone who needs like more like just room or like a larger size, like you can both get the same print and design. It's just scaled up or down, which I think is incredible. So I have been, I mean, I think I've added like 5 of their dresses to my wardrobe because I don't have to wear, I know it's going to fit. And I like the design. And it's like, I'd much rather give Metamorphose and indie brands my money and be like, this could be going to you, but they're the one being size inclusive. So I guess that's where my money's going to go. I think that's going to be, that's really the only way you can communicate with a business is numbers. But I think it's fantastic. I completely believe that anyone should be able to wear Lolita fashion, and the more accessible we make it, just makes us a more diverse and strong community overall.
So, and I guess the other side of it, what are some cons of possibly brands becoming, or at least trying to become, more size inclusive and possibly more accessible?
So I think probably it would be them having the inventory left over. So, because they have to make it in 3 sizes, for example, there's more of a chance that they're going to have some stuff left over and they're going to have to like mark it down at some point. So that could be a con. Potentially, if there's like 3 different sizes, like what if one of the sizes is off when it's being made in the factory, and then like everyone who bought that size, you have to like fix it. I think that can get difficult. But I think the cons aren't as important as the pros. I think it would offset those overall. And especially if I went to a convention and there was a brand there that had multiple sizes, and I was like, I like this dress or the skirt and it's in my size, I would buy it because I try to save up money, and then I'm extremely impulsive because I fall in love with dresses like so easy. And I'm like, holy crap, it's in my size. And I'm like, yep, my dress. I'm gonna get it. If a brand did that in person, I just I wouldn't need to walk around the whole pond. I'd just be like, hey, I'm good. I'll just stay here.
I'll just stay here, mind my mind. So
Yep.
recently,
And then go around and be like, okay, I need this.
I need that thing. I'll come back for the other one. Let me just look around
Yep.
first. So recently you made a video, unfortunately about your dream dress that didn't fit. Um, so when I watched that video, I really liked some of the wording and like the phrasing you use. Like for example, you use "not made for my body, does not flatter my body" versus how, um, unfortunately, a lot of um chubby, fat people, plus size people might just say, "Oh, I'm just too fat for this dress." So
Yes.
because so really in that case they see themselves as the issue. I just wanted your thoughts about that because I really loved that phrasing a lot, and I wish people would understand that it's the clothes are gonna be made for you, not you made for the clothes.
Exactly. And I think that's a struggle that everyone has, even just if you are going to, you know, TJ Maxx and trying something on and it doesn't fit. But I think, especially where this is such, our entire hobby is based on fashion. So if you are in love with a piece and it doesn't fit, it can be like really devastating. And I could feel myself like for a second being like, I could go to that next step and be like, I need to change. And it was just like, I put up a mental like stop and just said, no, this is not working for me. Your clothes should work for you. These are standardized items. They're made for like a certain height. You know, it's very specific because they're clothes. So I'm a huge advocate about, you know, let's think creatively of how we can make this work. So and it was an OP too. So like, and it wasn't even like just a weight thing. It was literally just my shoulders wouldn't fit regardless. But even if it was like, I shouldn't have to change myself to fit into a piece of clothing.
Mhm.
Like that's extreme. And you dress in Lolita because you want to feel good about yourself and express yourself. And if you have something that's not doing that, it needs to either be fixed or it needs to go, in my opinion. So, no, like I think this is a really great hobby where you can take a step back and really be like, I love myself and I want to celebrate myself. So, you have to remember that even when it comes to pieces that aren't a good fit for you.
And sometimes I feel like people just forget that little simple thought and then unfortunately go into a bubble of negative thoughts about themselves. Because, I'll
Yeah.
admit, maybe a lot of people gained weight during the pandemic and then, a lot of might not fit, but that's okay. Like it happens to everyone.
Yes,
And it's okay. I mean, we
absolutely.
were in a global pandemic and it could be a stressful time for many people. And and the clothes are clothes. It's not like you can change the clothes if you want to get them altered as
Yes.
well. Like I personally have
Yes.
gotten things altered. Like specifically,
Yep, me too.
yeah, like y'all, she has gotten a lot altered because she's like, I'm making this fit for me. Like me recently, I gotten Neon Star Diner altered, and I remember when I first
Cute.
got in it, like like from AP. Oh, that was not gonna fit. I was like, I'm not even gonna try this on because I already knew it's not gonna fit. Even though the measurements are like not that much different from my measurements at the time. But then, I put on a little bit of weight because obviously I'm at home more due to the pandemic. And then I got it
Mm-hmm.
altered. And when I got that dress back altered, it was just like, oh my God, it's for me. It was
Yay.
changed for me. It was just such an
Yes.
amazing feeling. So I wish where people were more, I guess, less judgmental about altering dresses, which I feel like maybe that might be shifting. What's your opinion on that?
I am all for altering dresses. I think if you like a piece and it's yours, make it fit. Because I know a lot of people will say, well, that's destroying the value of the piece. And my position is I bought this item to wear it. I want it to fit me. Unless it's like something, I don't know, specific I'd be buying for the shop that I'm going to just use as like a coordinate example or something. I bought it to fit me. And the nice thing about too, when I get my pieces altered, I have them altered at my measurements, and then they can always go smaller or a little bit bigger. So there's more flexibility with Lolita too, where it's like, yes, you had to pay to have this altered, but you're going to wear it because it's going to fit and it's going to be made for you. So it's going to look great. And because it's Lolita, there's all this great, like there's gathered fabric and there's corset lacing and there's all this stuff that you can use. So even if your weight changes, you're still going to have a piece that you love and be comfortable in. And that's much better than forcing it. Like when I tried on the Wonder Toy OP by Angelic Pretty, like it's like, yes, technically it fits and I could technically make it kind of work with a bolero, but it's like, but I'm not going to be comfortable. What's the point? It's just not worth it. And I was like, okay, like totally going to get the JSK and have it altered so I can enjoy the print, but also be comfortable in it.
And then like I feel like it doesn't devalue an item because now more people can fit it. So
yeah, like
no.
I bought Magic Princess already altered, and I was like, great, I don't have to have it altered. I don't care if it's
Yeah.
more.
Yeah,
But
I mean you're paying for what you would have paid for it to be altered in the first place. So
yeah, I was
I
like,
just I never understood that, I guess, um criticism of alteration when it adds value because you're making it fit more people.
yes, I agree with that 100%. And yeah, it's not like we're buying these things to like, I don't know, like for our wedding dresses, we had them like professionally stored and
Okay.
they're like sealed and everything. Um, so, but that's different. That's my wedding dress. This isn't like, oh, AP is adorable, like Wonder Queen. I'm going to seal it and just stare
Yeah.
at it. It's like, it's meant to be worn. So I'd
Yeah.
much rather like send it to a
Right.
professional and have it work. And then if I decide it's not for me, then someone else gets to enjoy it,
Exactly.
you
Yep.
know?
Exactly. So, as you've been wearing Jfashion, Lolita for a while, um, recently, or at least a year ago, yourself, myself, and a few other Black Lolitas, we made the Life as a Black Lolita series. If y'all haven't watched that, you should
Yeah.
watch Callista's. So what were your thoughts after that happened, or has anything you noticed any difference in the Lolita community?
I did notice that, it's great to have people watch it. So, like, when we do things and other people like retweet them or put it as their story and whatnot, getting, I feel like the community is ready and willing to hear those voices,
Mhm.
um, which has been huge because before I felt like we were shouting into a void. And it's like people didn't quite get it, but having all of our stories back to back and getting, I mean, we're scattered across the entire like US and like other countries.
Mhm.
And so saying, hey, this is my experience, and listen to Marina's or listen to Kim's, and you get to hear everyone's perspective on things. And it's like we're still experiencing this stuff and we're all over the place.
Mhm.
I think also too, because we did it together and we could like, our followers would go to other channels and whatnot. It just made more awareness of us as content creators. And now people have heard our stories and they kind of understand where we're coming from with certain things. And I
Mhm.
think that's really cool. Before I felt like, I couldn't talk about certain things. It's like, oh, people don't want to hear that. And it's probably just me sort of thing. But I feel better knowing like, I'm not the only person that experiences this. I feel better. Like if something happens, I'd be like, you'll never guess what happened. This happened. It was ridiculous. Or like, if this happens to me, what do I do? Because I'm like so bad about reacting to things like when they happen. I'm like, just like usually shocked. And then like, I think later, oh, I should have said that thing. Darn. So kind of having those conversations before that happens helps me when it does happen.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like it's for the better. I feel like the community as a whole seems to be more open. I feel like I'm not going to be shut down just because I say something that people aren't necessarily used to hearing.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I feel like the community's better overall, moving forward towards something better.
Mhm. That's good. Yeah, I definitely feel the same. Like it's like, oh wow, I was able to meet more Black Latinx people. So it's like, oh wow, I met more people who are like more similar background like me, and then has similar experiences. And then well, not met, but I've met a lot more friends.
Yes. Yes. And especially like I love it too. Cause I'm like, this is so cool. Like I'm into this thing and they're also into this thing and we look very similar. Like
Yeah, we're
I
very
love looking
similar.
and being like, oh, I like that like color. Like I wouldn't have thought to try that color. I should try that color. Or I really liked what so and so did with their natural hair. And it's like, especially being in Maine, I feel like I'm like the token like person of color sometimes. And I'm like, man, sometimes I just don't want to think about it. Or I want like to be able to ask someone their opinion on makeup because like every tutorial I feel like is not for someone with my skin tone.
Yeah.
So it's nice to not
Or
have
eye
that
shape.
extra.
Or eye
Yes.
shape.
Yep. And you're like, okay.
So while when we used to be able to be out in Lolita Jfashion at meets more, have you ever experienced any negative from bystanders or other Lolitas, any positive ones? And if you have, can you give some examples?
Yes. So during a meet, it was my first meetup, and that was back in the
Nice.
day where we arranged this on LiveJournal.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So we arranged this on LiveJournal, and my mom drove me, and I had my natural hair, and it was a fro, and I had like a little crown in it. And like, there's like this, for one, I thought the whole, it was just weird. Like, I wasn't used to people like ragging on other groups of people. So they were like, oh yeah, cosplayers are all like this. And I was like, I'm a cosplayer and I'm not like that. And they're like, well, you're different. And I'm like, what? So it's
What
like
does
that
that
sort of
mean?
mentality with like multiple things. I know they were like, oh, they're so like loud and obnoxious. And I'm like, one of the most quiet
Are we
people
not?
in the world.
Are we not? Are Lolitas in the group not loud and obnoxious?
Yeah. And it's like, it was just like kind of a little, it felt like, I don't know. I was like, should I be here? Like everyone had like tea parties and I didn't. And like, okay. So it's like that kind of mentality. And then like, it was fine. But then there were like little remarks that like this one person in particular would make where they'd be like, oh, like you might look better in these sorts of colors. Or she's like, oh yeah, and she was like, have you ever heard about lightening your skin? And I was like, again, I don't know how to react to that because I don't handle things like that well. I'm just like shocked. And I was just like, what do I do? And then like the conversation drifted to something else. But like because it was directed at me and I'm like shocked because it was directed at me, I really needed someone to be like, hey, that's not okay.
Oh my god, I
Like
would have
if just
fought.
one person had said
I would
that, that would have been
have violent.
amazing.
I honestly would have been
I
very
know.
violent. Like, oh no. Honestly, if
Oh
I was
yeah,
there with
like
you,
that's
I would have just slapped their hand. Like, why would you say that?
yeah, like I needed that. Like now I like train myself. I'd be like, okay, gotta speak up. But yeah, no, I was like so stunned. Like, who says that? Who says that?
And it was your first
But they
meet?
did. Yeah. Well, actually, no, the first meet was like, oh, the whole like Lolitas are a certain way thing. And then
Oh.
like a couple other meets down, it was like, I don't know if this person got comfortable and thought that it would be okay to say this thing or not. But yeah, so that was like negative. I haven't had any negative experiences with the public while at a meet, which is nice. I think because it's like a bunch of us, people just either are really
Or
supportive
intimidated.
or they stay away. Yeah.
Intimidated by all the frills.
um, yeah. Usually the interactions are good. Like I've noticed, especially even in the past like 5 years, like people will come up to me and say, "Oh, I really like your cord." And I'm like, terminology, what? Or like people coming up and being like, "Oh, is that angelic pretty?" And I'm like,
How
this
did
is
you know?
amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so used to like, people being like, "Oh, you look cute," which is like, thank you. But to have people using terms is like really, I get really, really excited.
Yeah, because it's like, oh
Um,
wow, who taught
yeah.
you?
Mm-hmm.
Who taught
They're like,
you?
"Oh, I don't wear it, but like, I know what it is." And I'm like, that's even cooler.
That's amazing.
But I love interactions like that. But I'm like so used to wearing Lolita now. Like it's weird when people point it out to me in like a negative way. So actually, an hour before we started recording, I went to go pick up clay at a craft store
Mhm.
because I needed clay because I'm making things. And I walk in and there's like a line of like 20 people. But of course, I ordered online. So I just get to press the cool button and wait there.
Mhm.
And this woman obnoxiously and loudly was like, "Oh, someone's going to a girl's birthday party." And she was staring at me. And I was like, should I just not? And I'm like, mm-mm. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to dress however you want. So I said, no. And she went, no. And I said, I just dress like this for fun. And so, like, they didn't know how to take that. So they all, like, the people in line, except for like the first maybe like 5 people, all just started to burst out laughing. And in the back of my mind, I was like, how sad that you have no concept and you don't know how to react. I love how I'm so threatening, right? Like, we're so cute. How
Yeah.
are we threatening? It's pink. It's okay. It's just cute.
Oh my
But right
god.
after that happened, yeah, I was just like, and all I can think of too is like, what if someone's new and this happens to them? But a woman
Mm.
that was like super cool and goth, and her hair was like split red and or black and orange. It was amazing. She was like, "You are super cute," and she came in, so it's not like she heard. She was like, "You are super cute. My twin sister loves this stuff," and I
Aw.
was like, "Oh yeah." She's like, "Yeah, she likes the," and she was going off on the brands and stuff, and everyone kind of like shut up and
Oh
like went back
wow.
to their spot in line. And I was like, I have
Wow.
to tell this story because it
Oh
literally
my
just happened.
god. That's so crazy. Wow. It's always the goth.
Yeah.
It's always the goths that they're so
Yes.
supportive. Always.
It's it's because they're like, we know the
Right.
struggle, we've done it.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
taken forever, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, my friends.
Right.
Keep going.
That's so funny. But also like so sad for them. Like they're
That's
only
all
mad.
I think too.
Yeah.
It's,
Like
it's
okay,
like, I'm
like
so sorry that your
all
view
you
on the
were
world
doing
is
was
so
just
sad.
standing there.
I was literally waiting for like my tiny bag of Sculpey. Like that's literally all I was doing. I was like, I'm not talking to anyone. It's like social distance. But okay, like why don't you just seem like an idiot because you're screaming what you think I'm dressed up for?
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, at a girl's birthday party, like I feel like what you see at a girl's birthday, I mean, I guess maybe she meant it as like you look like a princess, but just said it weird. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, there are like balloons and cake and stuff on
Oh,
my
okay,
dress.
okay. Oh,
So
okay,
I'm
okay.
thinking maybe that's where she got it. But yeah, I was like, no, I just do this for
Eh,
me. And then I get like creepers, but
yeah,
you just gotta
tough
gotta
it
keep
out.
doing your thing.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I know I can't, again, like we're used to it. It's crappy, but we're used to it. And I just like, if it happened to a new person, I just hope it doesn't. Like, let it happen to me. Let the new person
I'll
get
take it. I'll
confidence.
take it. I'll take it for them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. So, I guess like going into more the mental health space, content warning for those that do struggle for any with any mental illnesses. How do you think Jfashion, Lolita affects your mental well-being?
I think it helps it tremendously. Because if I'm feeling down or, Lolita just makes me so happy and it gives me like a distraction for if I happen to not be feeling great and I need something positive. And just like the way I feel when I put it on, like there are times where I'm like, I don't feel great, but I'm going to get dressed in a coordinate and I'm going to wear it for about an hour and then I'm going to take it off. And that's okay. And it took me a while to get to that point because I was like, well, it's a lot of energy to do that and whatnot. But even just wearing it for an hour, I'm like, okay, like I feel like myself. And look how cute this print is. And I just feel better about myself when I'm in Lolita and when I'm helping others discover it and just like making content and just sharing that really helps to lessen that depression or negative thoughts, like because I just feel great. Like how many people can say that they can put on artwork and feel amazing? It's a really special thing that we have, and I love like the stories prints tell, and I just feel like it's a cool language that we all know because we're Lolitas, but it also can bring joy to people who don't know what it is. So it's just spreading positivity by us just doing our thing.
So you mentioned, well, at least offline, you mentioned to me that you have a physical disability. So that is definitely not something talked enough in the Jfashion community, not just Lolita, about people having physical disabilities and wearing Jfashion, and I guess just being more considerate for people who have a disability or use mobility aids. If you don't mind explaining what is your physical disability?
Oh, sure. And I agree with you.
Or how it affects your Lolita.
Yeah. And I agree with you. We don't talk about it enough, which is why, like, I was like, I'm not uncomfortable talking about it. So I'll talk about it. You know, it's important. So I have fibromyalgia, which is a chronic illness. It entails extreme brain fog where you have trouble, like, it can get to the point where I have trouble formulating sentences and I can't think clearly. I have lots of like joint pain. And sometimes, like, if it's really bad, it's so sensitive that like all I can do is lay in bed and not move because everything just hurts. And it also comes with fatigue. So because your body is essentially reacting and thinks you're in pain, you're drained because your body thinks it's in pain. So then you're really, really tired. So and it can come on randomly too. So that's why I don't want to be like organizing an event, because if I wake up and I'm having a flare and I can't get out of bed, I don't want to be like, hi friends, I'm canceling this because my chronic illness is flaring up. So that can be hard. And as much as I'd love to be a lifestyle Lolita, I just know I can't do it physically because it just takes a lot of work. And I know like people mean well, they're like, you should dress like this every day. And it's like, they don't understand how much time it takes to be in these clothes and then like getting out of them. And it's like, I only have so much energy. I can't, unfortunately, use it always on wearing Jfashion. So, you know, it's like, it's great to have that support, but it's also hard. And then on the flip side, you'll get people that are like, wait, you have this condition. Why do you wear this really elaborate fashion? And you're like I chose that. Like, obviously, if it was based just on my disability, I wouldn't be like, let's wear this really elaborate fashion. Like, I like this fashion. Like, I'm not going to be practical in your mind just because like it's an interest. It's like, if I don't know, if you really were into fishing, people are like, well, now you moved somewhere where you can't fish, so what are you gonna do about it? It's like, I'm gonna go somewhere where I can fish. I'll go like camping or something. Like, what? You can't control your interests? What kind of weirdness is that? So they mean well, but it's like, yeah, you know, you make it work. You know what your limitations are and you make it work. And some days I can't wear it and I'll be in bed, but you know what? I can go organize my Lolibrary closet or look at new releases or, you know, like feeling up to it, I can reorganize my closet or just put a dress out and look at all the details and get design inspiration, like I can still enjoy the fashion without having to wear it. And then knowing what types of materials work for me. Like just really, I think it's important to know what works best for you. And if, if you're going to a meet and you can only be there for an hour because, you're going to be tired from just like standing or talking or whatnot, like that's okay. You can just go for an hour. You don't have to go the whole time. You don't want to sacrifice or damage your body or your mind. You want to make sure that you can still enjoy what you do, but not at the cost of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's mostly important, is remembering that what your limitations are, still enjoying what you love in different ways without having to wear the fashion, and knowing that there are people out there that have disabilities that you might have not even realized had disabilities, and you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't speak on about any since I don't have any physical disabilities, but I've definitely noticed that I've been getting more recommendations and suggestions on Instagram, like the algorithm. Like I've definitely been becoming like more aware of like invisible disabilities and people having like using mobility aids and stuff like that. Like I like
Mm-hmm.
one of the people that I follow is I don't remember their pronouns, but it's autistic kawaii or something. I think that's their handle.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Like I honestly like their whole like Instagram is such a like a learning experience for me because I don't have I'm not on the spectrum. I don't have any some sort of like I'm not really sure what the term is like mental illnesses that would affect like my daily really. So it's just like it's definitely something that I would have never experienced if I didn't have like social media because just in my
Yeah.
regular life I don't really have a lot of people who have such disabilities and such so it's just like I'm just really thankful that you're willing to talk about that and I just wish that we
Yeah.
know more about it like or hear more people um but do you have like any like recommendations or suggestions for people who might be struggling with like a invisible disability or physical disability or anything like that?
So I think with accounts that are so like, hey, I'm autistic, or hey, I use mobility aids, like I'm finding too with the algorithms, I also think more people are posting them. So we're starting to
Yeah.
get them into our feed,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is so important. So again, like I think you should be able to enjoy this fashion regardless. Just knowing what works for you is important. Um, but you don't have to be like having a disability doesn't mean you have to be ashamed of it. And it's taken me a long time to like embrace it, but I think it's important. Um, there's people out there that have this. Fluffy Kawaii Joe has that really great database that like
Mm-hmm.
organizes people, so you can go find someone like you. Um, and there are groups that you can connect with, not specifically Lolita, which would be kind of cool if we did a Lolita one. But there are like tons of people just like on Instagram that I'm reading, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I have fibromyalgia," and I'm like, "What? So do I." I think just knowing that you're not alone, paying attention to those algorithms, searching for it, going to the database. You definitely, I know it's so helpful to like find someone that is like you, especially when you're new, because you're just like, this is all so foreign to me. I need something to make me feel like I'm a part of this. Like people are out there, and I think we're going to see more because people are going to be comfortable and be like, well, so and so is out about it. I can be out about it too. And same, like I feel like I'm learning so much through social media, and I feel like you and I want to learn and like are always trying to better ourselves. So we're like, I feel like you're always like, oh, this is so interesting. Like, okay, like I'm ready to embrace this. I'm ready to do that. I feel like I'm like that too. I'm like, what can I do to make the world a better place? Like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, just doing this one small thing, like asking someone their pronouns makes them feel so much more comfortable. Awesome. I'm going to do that. I think, with even if you don't have a disability, being like, I support this person and I love what they do, that's huge.
So for
It's,
future meets and such, what is something that you wish more organizers were to consider more, or something that you would like to see more in like Lolita programming at conventions or local meets or anything like that?
I would love to see just, and it's hard to because again, my community is really, really small.
Mm.
Um, but like tea is nice, swap meets are nice and everything. But I also love, let's think outside the box. Like when Lolitas go like figure skating, like I think that's really fun. Or it's
Recently
like you don't
I
have to wear
saw
anything.
Yeah, recently I saw some people, I forget where, like there was a whole meetup at a roller rink.
That's so cool. Like, yeah, like I want to go bowling in Lolita. Like, it doesn't have to be like crazy risky, but it's like I want to do other things. And like I feel like especially when you're at a table too at a tea, it's really nice, but you're only going to be next to certain
Yeah, like
people.
yeah, like a box.
And like, yeah, and it's like you're all in fluffy dresses or like really awesome shorts and stuff. It's like we don't have a lot of wiggle room either. So it's not like you can be like, excuse me, and like bump down and go talk to someone. But if you're all at like a roller rink, you could like go over and hang out with someone and like get to know them. And I want more meets like that. Or like, I feel like too, people get stressed, at least where I am. Like people think, oh, if we do a meet, it has to be like super like fancy and there's going to be like a cover charge. And I'm like, or we can just like go to a park and like you can bring your own like bento box and we could just talk and like look at people's outfits. Like it doesn't have to be stressful. Like I want to see more of us just like hanging out, doing like chill things for meets. And then like when we do go to a convention, do the really elaborate stuff like the high tea and the fashion show and that sort of thing. And yeah, having guests. Like I love going to conventions and having guests. Like even if it's a Lolita 101, I'm like, I'm going. Like I want to hear people talk and support them. It's really just, I'm glad to see more conventions embracing the Jfashion aspect instead of trying to like push it out. Because we're here, we're growing, and I just love it. I think it's so interesting, even if it's not like a style I wear. I'm like, I want to hear about like decor. Like, how do you get started in that? That's so cool. Just more love and spreading that creativity and having fun and not worrying so much about, oh, we have to film this for Instagram and it has to look like really nice. Like I want more of those like laid back, casual things too.
So speaking of like, I guess like content creation, then, what are some collaborations or like content you would love to see among like Lolita content creators? Doesn't matter the platform.
Yeah. So I love when I want to do. So recently, like people have been doing that, like me, like in my normal clothes and me and Lolita and showing the difference, or like them and what they usually wear and then what they wear for Jfashion. I want things like that to show, we really love this and we're passionate, but sometimes you just want to be comfy. Or sometimes you have like work clothes and then you have fun clothes. I want to see more of like when they had the makeup unicorn brush thing going around.
Oh, like the
like
past
more of
the
those.
brush thing. Oh yeah,
I want like
I
past
love
the brush with
those.
like tons of people.
Oh my God, yeah, I agree.
I
Yeah,
love.
that was like a year ago if you think about it. I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
like
because
the Black Lolita one, I think it was like a year ago, a little bit over a year ago now.
yeah, I think like because of the pandemic, people are like, well, what can we do? I want to see more things like that, like, or taking things from one platform and doing them in another platform. Like way back in the day on Lolita Amino, they had like a pass the teacup where you like had a teacup and you like gave it to someone else and they were supposed to answer questions. That would be really cute to splice together. And like the teacup changes obviously, but that would be really cool to like what we do where it's, oh, here's like the Black Lolita content creators, here's the questions we're going to answer. You can hear different opinions. I love things like that. Like, I love that we don't have to physically be in the same space to still enjoy a prompt together. And I want to see more of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even afterwards, I think it would be great. Cause like that way you don't have to fly to Scotland or something to do something with another Lolita. You can just like, do what we're doing.
Right, right. So since you are also a fellow Lolita YouTuber, so if a non black or really non BIPOC, I guess more white um Lolita influencer content creator would want to have more BIPOC content, what would you recommend for them to do it?
I think it comes back to like if you are really passionate about something and you want to do it right, the best way is to ask the community that you're looking to bring up. So, just connecting, or even just individuals, if you're like, I really like you, Marina, and I want to do something with you. Here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? But definitely asking the community like what they would like to see or what their struggles are, because that's kind of using your platform in a way that's bringing up other people. So I appreciate that, for example, when we do the Life is a Black Lolita series and any Melanin collab stuff, like Lovely Lore pins that to her Twitter and it stays there. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't move. Like
yeah. I
that's
think it's
huge.
still
Like
there last I checked.
it's, yeah. So it's like, I kind of feel like it was great when the Black Lives Matter stuff was happening. Not great that it was happening, but I appreciated that the community was talking more about it and making sure their feeds were more diverse and whatnot.
Mhm.
I've seen that taper off, and it would be great if more people would go back and be like, okay, I really want to bring up, disability in the fashion. I really want to bring up people who've had different experiences. Like reach out to people and like ask them what would be best for them, or even just like if you are just a person that wants to give a voice, like retweeting,
Mhm.
like liking, asking like interesting questions, like interaction, and like because we're all on social media, so your like little heart or little like can go so far, but you can also take it farther by just like supporting
And
the
sharing.
people who's making that content and sharing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Even if you don't
Just
buy or watch their content, sharing definitely helps
mm-mm.
for the algorithms.
Yeah. Yes. And that's a lot of it too, is like, you might know who someone is, but if you like, I have my likes turned on YouTube. So it goes to Twitter when I like a video. And it's like someone might have not heard of this person because their algorithm is completely different
Mhm.
than mine. So then they can connect with that person. And yeah, like then maybe they'll get a follower and they get to hear a different voice. So that's absolutely huge. Um, I feel like there isn't enough that, like, there's never too much that can be done
Mhm.
because it's all about having that open communication. And I am a firm believer, maybe naively, but that if we have open communication, then that's going to really help a lot of like people's opinions, like maybe even just having more compassion, even if you don't agree with someone's experience, just so you can hear another person's perspective. And overall, that's going to make it a more tolerable, more accepting, more diverse community. And a strong community for us is just going to be better in the long run. That way, like when people are being weird at a craft store about your outfit, like you can talk to a community that's like, I totally understand and we support you. And it's, we need to lift each other up because the
Mhm.
rest of the world isn't going to do it for us.
Right. Exactly. Oh man, this was great. I love this so much. Do you have any
This is so
last
fun.
thoughts or last things to say to the audience?
Just thanks for watching and thanks for having me. Like I feel like I could talk to you for
Oh
hours
my God, yeah.
and hours, which is really great.
Me too, honestly. I hope we see each other soon. I hope it works out and we can see each other in November for Royal Vegas retreat.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
I definitely gonna be like, yeah. And like, I'm sorry, like that's awesome too. Like, I want to go to Vegas and hang out with awesome people. Like,
Right.
it's not like it's, I mean, the most exciting thing we have here is like Anime Boston.
Oh,
So it's like Boston and that's it. So it's like, I
oh
get to go
man.
to Vegas and hang out with cool people.
Yeah.
That would
Hopefully
just be so
COVID
fun.
doesn't hopefully Delta doesn't rampage too much, please. I'm hoping.
I know. I'm like, I'm happy to wear a face mask. Just please let me be able to
Yeah, I'm
go.
fully vaccinated. I'll wear 4 face masks if I need
Yep.
to. I'll wear a whole
Yep.
hazmat suit that'll fit my Lolita. Please happen.
Yep. I will I will have like a measuring tape if I need to be like 6 feet,
Six
whatever
six
you
feet,
need.
2 meters, 10 feet. Some places that I've been to the grocery store have been having more than 6 feet, and I'm like, oh, I love this so much. Please give me 10 feet away from people.
That's the nice thing too about having a petticoat is I noticed during COVID people would stay away from me because like especially like here, like craft stores are so small that people want to be like right up close to you, even though it's supposed to be social distancing. It's
Mhm.
like great because you have like this like natural social distance meter
Barrier.
perimeter.
This barrier. It's a bubble. Past this bubble?
Yes.
Nope. Oh man. So
Yes. I
I
hope we
just
can
want
see each other soon.
yeah, yeah, I hope we can see each other soon. So that was it for episode 8 of Frill Talk. So again, thank you, Callista, for being here with me. I will have all of her socials, her YouTube channel will be tagged, her Instagram, her shop, her Etsy, her everything. So thank you so much, Callista. Like I said, this was really great and I hope to see you again. So I hope you all listen to everything Callista said and please feel free to watch all the other Frill Talk episodes and look forward for more. Bye bye.
Bye.